everyone. Today, we are going to report the preservation of foods in catering.
Food preservation can be defined as the process of treating and handling food in such a way as to stop or greatly slow down spoilage and prevent foodborne illness while maintaining nutritional value, texture, and flavor. Food spoilage. Unless food are preserved, they deteriorate. Therefore, to keep them in an edible condition, it is necessary to know what causes food spoilage. In the air, there are certain microorganisms called molds, yeast, bacteria, which cause foods to go bad. Also, food spoilage is defined as damage or injury to food rendering it unsuitable for human consumption. Molds. These are simple plants which appear like whiskers on foods, particularly sweet foods, meat, and cheese. To grow, they require warmth, air, moisture, darkness, and food. They are killed by heat and sunlight. Molds can grow where there is too little moisture for yeast and bacteria to grow, and will be found on jams and pickles. Although not harmful, they do cause foods to taste musty and to be wasted. Example, the top layer of a jar of jam would be removed if it had mold on it. Second, yeast. These are single-cell plants or organisms larger than bacteria, which grow on foods containing moisture and sugar. Foods containing only a small percentage of sugar and large percentage of liquid, such as fruit, juices, and syrups, are reliable to ferment because of yeast. Although these seldom cause disease yeast to increase food spoilage. Foodstuffs should be kept under refrigeration if they may be spoiled by yeast. Yeast are also destroyed by heat. Bacteria. Bacteria are minute plants or organisms which require moist, warm conditions and a suitable food to multiply. They spoil food by attacking it, leaving waste products, or by producing poisons in the food. Their growth is checked by refrigeration and they are killed by heat. Certain bacterial forms are more resistant to heat than others and require higher temperatures to kill them. Other causes. Food spoilage can occur from other causes, such as by chemical substances called enzymes, which are produced by living cells. Fruits are ripe by the actions of enzymes. They do not remain edible indefinitely because other enzymes cause the fruit to become overripe and spoil. Next, the acidity and alkalinity of foods. The level of acidity or alkalinity of a food is measured by its pH. The pH can range from 1 to 14, with pH 7 denoting neutral, neither acid nor alkaline. 1 to 3, strong acid lemons, vinegar, rhubarb. 4 to 5, medium acid pears, bananas, carrots, tomatoes. 6 to 7, weak acid. 8 to 9, weak alkaline, some mineral waters, hard water. 10 to 11, medium alkaline, egg white, bicarbonate of soda. And 12 to 14, strong alkaline. Next, methods of preservation. This may be achieved by several methods. First, by removing the moisture from the food, example, drying and dehydration. Second, by making the food cold, example, chilling and freezing. Third, by applying heat, example, canning and bottling. Fourth, by radiation using X or gamma Y rays. Fifth, by chemical means, example, salting, pickling, crystallizing. Next, we have 12 food may be preserved by the following methods. So first, we have drying. Second, dehydration. Third, chilling. Fourth, freezing. Fifth, canning. Sixth, bottling. 7, pickling. 8, salting. 9, smoking or curing. 10, chemical. 11, gas storage. And last, we have radiation. Drying and dehydration. This method of preserving is achieved by extracting the moisture from the food, thus preventing molds, yeast, and bacteria from growing. This was done by drying foods such as fruits in the sun. Today, many types of equipment are used, and the food is dried by the use of air at a regulated temperature and humidity. Next, accelerated freeze drying. This is a process of dehydration whereby food requires no preservation or refrigeration yet. When soaked in water, regains its original size and flavor. It can be applied to every kind of food. The food is frozen in a cabinet, the air is pumped out, and the ice vaporized. This is called accelerated freeze drying, and it is the drying of frozen foods by sublimation under conditions of a very low pressure. Sublimation is the action of turning from solid to gas without passing through a liquid. Advantages of drying. First, if kept dry, foods keep indefinitely. Second, food preserved by this method occupies less space than food preserved by other methods. Some dried food occupy 10% of the space required when fresh. Third, dried foods are easily transported and stored. Fourth, the cost of drying and the expenses incurred in storing are not as high as other methods of preservation. Last, there is no waste after purchase, therefore portion control and costing are simplified. Next, foods preserved by drying. First, we have vegetables, example, peas, onions, beans, carrots, lentils, cabbage, mixed vegetables, and potatoes. Many vegetables are dried. Those most used are the pulse vegetables, beans, peas, and lentils, which are used for soups and vegetable puree. Usually potatoes are cooked, mashed, and then dried. The other dried vegetables are used as a vegetable, example cabbage and onions. Pulse vegetables are generally soaked in water before use, then washed before being cooked. Vegetables which are dehydrated, having a lower content of water as more moisture has been extracted, are soaked in water. Potatoes which are dehydrated are in powder form and reconstituted with water or milk and water. They usually have manufactured vitamin C added as dehydration results in loss of vitamin C. Second, herbs. Herbs are tied into bundles and allowed to dry out in a dry place. Third, fruits. Sultanas, currants, and raisins are dried grapes which have been dried in the sun or by hot air. Figs, plums, apricots, apples, and pears are also dried by hot air. Apples are usually peeled and cut in rings or dice and then dried. All dried fruits must be washed before use, and fruits such as prunes, figs, apricots, and apples, pears are cooked in the water in which they are soaked. Milk. Milk is dried either by the roller or spray process. With the roller method, the milk is poured onto heated rollers which cause the water to evaporate. The resulting powder is then scraped off. With the spray process, the milk is sent through a fine jet as a spray into hot air. The water evaporates and the powder drops down. The temperature is controlled so that the protein in milk is not cooked. Use. Milk powder may be used in place of fresh milk mainly for economic reasons, especially skimmed milk powder, and is used for cooking purposes such as custard, white sauce, etc. Last, eggs. Eggs are dried in the same way as milk, and although they have a food value similar to fresh eggs, dry eggs do not have the same aerating quality. When reconstituted, the eggs should be used at once. If left in this state in the warm atmosphere of the kitchen, bacteria can multiply and food poisoning may result. because the heat used in the drying process is insufficient to kill the bacteria present in the original egg. Use: dried eggs are mainly used in the bakery trade. Next, chilling and freezing. Refrigeration is a method of preservation where the microorganisms are not killed, they are only prevented from multiplying. The lower the temperature, the longer foods will keep. Refrigerators keep at a temperature within the range 0 degrees Celsius to 7 degrees Celsius, prevent foods from spoiling for only a short time. Most frozen foods can be kept at 70 degrees Celsius for a year and 28 degrees Celsius for 2 years. Foods must be kept in a deep freeze until required for use. Meat. In chilling, meat which is chilled is kept at a temperature just above freezing point and will keep for up to 1 month. If the atmosphere is controlled with carbon dioxide, the time can be extended to 10 weeks. Meat from Australia is frozen because the journey may take about 12 weeks. Freezing. Meat in freezing, mutton and lamb carcasses are frozen. Beef carcasses are not usually frozen because, owing the size of carcass, it takes a long time to freeze, and this causes ice crystals to form, which when thawed affect the texture of the meat. Frozen meat must be thawed before it is cooked. Quick freezing. During the cooking and freezing process, foods undergo physical and or chemical changes. If it is found that these changes are detrimental to the product, then recipe modification is required. The following products require some modification: sauces, casseroles, stews, cold desserts, butters, vegetables, and egg dishes. Conventional recipes normally use wheat flour for thickening, but in the cook-free system, this will not give an acceptable final product because separation of the solids from the liquids in the sauce will occur if the product is kept in frozen storage for over a period of several weeks. To overcome this problem, it is necessary to use wheat flour in the conjunction with any of a number of classically modified starches. Example, tapioca starch. Many recipes prove successful with a ratio of 50% wheat flour with 15% modified starch. To quick freeze, trays of foods are placed on hollow shelves through which passes a refrigerant having a very low temperature. The foods stay in the freezing chamber for 60 to 90 minutes according to size.